Everyone. I just want to get a little bit of feedback on how we went with body language. If you guys had any experiences that you can share with us from last week. Anybody want to share some experiences? Usually France has got something to share. No one. France.
Yes. There's nothing much I can share at the moment.
Okay. Did you notice any different body languages from last week after having the awareness?
Yeah, I did observe some few, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay,
Tracy,
awesome.
just to mention that Milani wrote a really great article with that would be really useful to go through because you gave so many tips and tricks. In fact, I'm watching Married at First Sight, the Israeli version, and it was a part where they weren't honest with each other, and it was really funny because the woman was speaking and she raised her voice up. And it was one of those things that you say, when someone lies, and I thought, oh, I've noticed that, I thought about it. So I think there are a lot of things that you said last time that were gems, like that can be really useful in us interpreting body language. And I suggested maybe I'll ask Tracy to share the link of this blog, if it's available on the website, with everybody, so we can go back to it and read those tips.
Oh, that would be awesome. I'd love to hear that and read through it. Odette, did you have some feedback? I see your microphone's off.
Sorry, I didn't. I didn't attend the body language, unfortunately.
Oh.
I missed out completely. But body language does talk. A lot of words, and more words than what comes out. The
100%.
Back and other gestures are horrible.
Yeah,
you don't need to spit. You don't need to spit, so it doesn't need to come out of your mouth. It just shows. Yeah.
Big
Thank
time.
you. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to go into forming habits, and I shall share my screen. And we can do, okay, there we go. Okay, so we're on day 5. And just to recap, I didn't go into all the other stuff that I have been doing for the last couple of weeks. But today is all about developing habits. And what is a habit? A habit is something that a person does often or regularly. Now, very often we look at habits that have a negative connotation. So in other words, smoking, drinking, nail biting, all of those kind of things. So the first thing that we think of is bad habits when people talk about habits. And to give them up long term is very, very overwhelming. And it takes 21 days to break a habit. So if you have a habit that you are wanting to break, so for me, it's more about replacing habits with great habits. But if you do, and Zelda brought this up a little bit earlier, if you have a bad habit that you are wanting to break and change, you first of all have to know what that habit is, and then know for 21 days, you're going to have to almost train yourself to not do that habit or replace it with a great habit. Okay. So once again, looking at it in the affirmative, habits can be life-changing. So if you start a habit of balanced lifestyle, gratitude, that kind of thing, you definitely can change the way you feel about your life. Okay, and to create an effective habit, it has to be bite-sized and it has to be so easy. As soon as you start complicating it and start making it bigger or start thinking about the 21 days as opposed to day 1, you start to feel overwhelmed, and it's so easy to drop that habit and go, this is too much, it's not going to work. And then once again, 21 days to create a habit. So 21 days to break a habit and 21 days to create a habit. All right. So how many of you on the 1st of January decide that you are going to create these resolutions? I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to stop smoking, I'm going to stop drinking, I'm going to have a more balanced lifestyle, I'm not going to be a workaholic, all of that kind of stuff. So generally resolutions on the 1st of January, we set all these things. And I must be honest, 9 out of 10 people that I speak to now don't set resolutions because of the fact that they can't stick to it. And if you think about it, if I start a resolution at the beginning of January, all right, I'm kind of committing to myself for 365 days. And that for me just feels like it's so long and it's so far away. And to be able to stick to something for 365 days seems impossible, even though I have created this resolution. Okay. And what tends to happen is by week 2, we've given up that resolution and we've gone on in our normal way of behavior. So we've gone back to our old habits. And most of the time, the resolutions that we do create are absolutely unrealistic. So there's a couple of questions that I need you to ask yourself before you even start to develop a habit. And the questions are, why? Why is it that you want to implement a good habit or eliminate a bad habit? You know, if somebody says to me, I'm going to stop smoking, I'm not ready to stop smoking. So, you know, for me to create that habit of not smoking is useless because I know I'm not going to stick to it. Then ask the question, how will this benefit me in the long run? Will it benefit me in my business? Will it benefit me in my health? Will it benefit me in my family? What are the benefits of me actually creating these habits? So that you know sort of what the goal is at the end. There's no point in starting a habit if you haven't got a goal to achieve at the end. And then who and what am I doing this for? So I'm a classic, obviously I've spoken about how much it's cost for me to look this big, and I love food. And what tends to happen is when I have a breakup, I go on a diet. And I think it's a case of I'm going to just show this person that I can be thin, or, you know, it's never really for me. So you need to look very carefully at who you are creating this habit for. Is it for you or is it for somebody else? So if somebody's asking you to stop smoking and you give up smoking, you're doing it for them. Once again, the chances of it actually becoming a habit and you sustaining it are very, very slim if you're doing it for somebody else. Okay. And then when will it start? Okay. So I've spoken about the 21 days. So wherever it starts. So I can say a lot of people like to start things on a Monday, but it also becomes an excuse. So I can say I'm going to start dieting next Monday, or I'm going to go to gym next Monday. However, why aren't I just doing it right now? How serious am I about creating this habit? So once you've made your mind up as to what the habit is that you want to create, why you're creating it, how it's going to benefit you, and for whom you're doing it, then why not start right now? Okay, so make that start for yourself. Okay, now.
Sorry, Tracy. Spencer has his end up. You want? Is it okay
Spencer.
For him to ask questions?
Thank you, Ariella. I love being interactive, so yes.
Okay, good morning.
Morning, Spencer.
I'm joining you for the first time, and I've got a recording now, the link for last week, so I look forward to watching it. Can I ask you what constitutes a habit? Is playing online chess too much in the day a habit? Is going and looking at Israel National News, News 24, CNN, Facebook, is that all a habit? can what you're talking about today, you know, be aligned to those kind of things, which also we want to try and cut down on?
100%. Spencer, and it's great that you brought that up. It's only a bad habit if it doesn't feel good, and it's only a good habit if it feels good. So you need to make your mind up as to if going online often works for you and it sits well with you, then continue to do it. If it doesn't sit well with you and it's something you would like to change, then create a new habit as opposed to dropping the bad habit. So what I'm saying is, if going online constantly you feel is hindering your time and that kind of stuff, create a habit of maybe, you know, saying to yourself, I would like to spend 25 minutes out in the outdoors a day. So that already takes 25 minutes of your online time away, and starts to form a good habit because it sits well with you, because it's good to be in nature. The question is why? Why are you doing it? You know what I mean? Being interested in the news and stuff like that, if that is something that you enjoy and it sits well with you and it's not hurting anybody, then keep that habit. But if you feel like you could be doing other things rather than sitting there on there, then change the habit. Okay, so I've got a habit of, I switch my phone off at 8 o'clock at night. All right, and I do not take phone calls after 8 o'clock at night. But anybody that phones me after 8 is going to get a call at 4 o'clock in the morning because they don't respect my time. So that's a habit that I've got into. And yes, maybe I should consider other people, but they didn't consider me when they called me after 8. So, you know, it sits well with me. So that's where it comes from, Spencer. If it sits well with you, do more of it. If it doesn't sit well with you, stop doing it. It's actually quite simple. Makes sense?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I asked you the question, why are you creating this habit? All right. And I believe very much in getting organized. So in other words, being prepared when you do something. So we're not doing anything out of awareness. So we're not being unaware. So a lot of you will have heard of the SMART goal setting philosophy, or an acronym. And of course, I do things bigger and better. So I had to create it. I created the SMARTER philosophy, or SMARTER acronym. All right. And the S is for be specific. And I'm very much into the law of attraction and what you put out into the universe. So be specific about what it is that you want. If it's, you know, if you're wanting to spend time outside, how much time, where about outside, you know, so be specific in terms of what your goal is here. You must be able to measure it. And at the end of this, talk, I'm actually going to give you a very good measurable tool that you can actually measure how you actually are doing with your habits. It must be achievable. Don't create something that's unachievable. You know, you're not going to be, and here's an example. I'm a facilitator. It doesn't mean I want to be a CEO in the next 21 days, and I'm going to create a habit of that kind of business mindset. It must be realistic. Winning the lotto is not a realistic goal. Time-based, you need to at least have a start date, guys. And when setting any goals, please be aware that you need to have a start date. And particularly with habits, I said 21 days, but they can go for as long as you like. But if you're setting a goal, you have to put an end date as to when you can achieve it. Because once again, that can be an excuse as to why you don't achieve your goals. Please make your goal exciting. There's nothing worse than working towards something that's boring and you know, doesn't float your boat. Please, guys, make it exciting for yourself. and add a little bit of risk into it. And I'm not talking about investing in the stock market or that kind of thing. Take yourself out of your comfort zone and make it a little bit risky. So add something into it that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, because it's when we're uncomfortable that we're prepared to learn. It's when we're uncomfortable that we're prepared to actually mold and change our behaviors. Okay. So habits and resolutions. So I'm a big one for playing on words and creating things differently for myself. And I decided that I would create resolutions, but I would create monthly resolutions. And I've got one in business, and then I've got one on a balanced lifestyle, which I'm going to share with you today. So I created 7 resolutions, and I decided that I was going to tackle each of these resolutions over a month period of time. So my first resolution is to declutter, to have only 10 emails in my inbox, if not less. So for 1 month, 30 days, I focus on decluttering my computer, decluttering my desk, that kind of stuff. For the next month, now, because the habits formed in 21 days, hopefully I'm going to sustain it. But I'd like to keep doing it because it's become a habit, and it's a lot easier because it's a habit. Month 2, I'm going to add something to that. So I'm not going to just drop the decluttering. I'm going to add random acts of kindness in month 2. So for me at the moment, my biggest mission is to establish random acts of kindness that other people can do that doesn't cost them money. So I spend a lot of time working on that particular one, which is great fun. Then month 3, I'm going to keep my habits from month 1, month 2, month 3, do it right the first time. So I am one that hates having to do something over again. But if you speak to an IT person, and no offense to anybody, they just go and they fix it. And they do a quick tap-up job. And then there's never enough time to get anything done, but there's always time to go back and fix it. And I've never kind of understood that. My month 4, I'm going to teach others a new skill. My month 5 is I'm going to be the boss of my desk. So I'm absolutely going to take control of my desk and own it. Month 6, I'm going to ask for support. In month 7, I'm going to go the extra mile. Does anybody have any questions on that? No. Okay. So then I decided that I wanted to do something personal. So on my personal side, I looked at the balanced lifestyle, and I took the 8 areas of the balanced lifestyle, and I decided I wanted to boost my health. I wanted to remember to love, to spend time with family. I wanted to aim higher with my career. I wanted to lighten up. I'm very, very hard on myself, and I beat myself up off it when I don't achieve things that I've set up. Social, I wanted to be serious about playing. Financial, I wanted to buy some happiness. Spiritual, I want to contemplate the heavens. There's so many things that you can find out about in the spiritual world. Knowledge, I'm going to pay attention. Now, if I go back to the first one, health, I am not going to go to gym 7 days a week for 3 hours a day. In fact, I can barely drag my butt to the gym once a month. Okay, so going to the gym is not something that sits well with me, and it seems too overwhelming. So I'm going to break it down into bite sizes. Instead of taking an elevator, I'm going to take the stairs. Instead of parking my car directly outside the door, I'm going to park a little bit further away. Instead of picking up that chocolate or the second chocolate, I'm going to choose a carrot. So little baby things that you can just change the habit of will facilitate for you to have a great experience. Don't make it overwhelming. Don't make it huge. Just do little baby steps. Okay. Any questions on that? No? Okay. So now, in order to stick to my resolutions, I believe that I need to have some rules for myself. However, if you tell me there are rules, I'm going to find a way to break it. So it's just that word rules, that stems from when I was a kid at school and there were all these rules. And for me, I believe that we're so able to do things differently if we stop conforming to the rules. And I'm not talking about speeding on the highway or not stopping at stop streets. Follow those rules. You agreed to those kind of rules. But there's rules like, for example, stepping out of your box. And why not ask a question when somebody's asked you to do something and establish more about that question? So we kind of step back and we don't necessarily follow through in case somebody judges us. Just drop that belief that somebody is going to judge you and rather ask the question. And I believe very strongly in that. So commandments. I like the fact that there are commandments in the Bible. I think that the commandments that exist in the Bible are things that we should be living by anyway. And I decided to create my own commandments. And it sat well with me to say, okay, I'm going to have my own, very own commandments. And these commandments allow me to actually stick to my resolutions. Because if I live with these commandments, then I'm going to be living in my moments. And I'm also going to be able to achieve my resolutions that I've set up. So my first commandment always is be authentic. It takes so much energy not to be authentic. I know that for many years, I would put on a mask and pretend to be what everybody else wanted me to be. And it was exhausting. And it's only when I realized that being authentic is so much easier and so freeing that I started adopting it into my lives. But yes, we do fall back into bad habits, and sometimes I forget to be authentic, and I put on that ego mask or that mask that doesn't sit well with me. Living in the moment. I think I've gone on and on and on about living in the moment, so I won't go too much into that. Let it go, guys. We hold on to so much stuff that just doesn't actually serve us any longer. So just let it go. Big one for me is show up. So I will set up a coffee date with a friend, and I will get home and I'll be exhausted, and I'll just phone that friend and go, you know what, I'm going to give tonight a step or whatever. Whereas my commandment is to show up. Just show up, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to show up and you're going to enjoy yourself. And because you've stuck to your word, you're going to actually feel a lot better about yourself. Be polite and fair. I'm a strong believer in that. There's 2 ways of doing things. There's the correct way and there's the polite way. Keep your promises. If you promise to do something, do it. As soon as you break your promise, you actually make yourself feel less than, and you can then very easily start to label yourself as a failure. So be aware of that, breaking your promises. Eradicating overanalyzing. Enjoy the process. And as I said to you guys, make life exciting. You are responsible for your own life. And if you're not enjoying the process, then there's no point in doing it. Big one for me, learn from others. I love people who have knowledge, and I surround myself with people that are going to enlighten me and are going to share their knowledge with me and teach me new things. It fills my soul to learn. Laugh lots, live with integrity, and be kind. So those are my absolute 12 commandments that I stick to. They are stuck up all over my house. They're my screensaver as I switch my computer on. And I've got a reminder of them wherever I go. And if I can live with those 12 commandments, my habits and my resolutions are so incredibly easy to achieve. Are there any questions at this point in time? No questions. Okay. So, as you may have realized, I like to make things pretty and colorful and all of that kind of stuff. And one of the important things for me is to actually make pretty pictures and to create things that work for me. So I think I've spoken to you guys about me creating my calendar on Excel. So the other thing that I would like you to actually start to introduce is a habit tracker. The reason I'm encouraging you to do this is because we don't pat ourselves on the back for the good stuff that we've done. You know, when we've done something pretty shitty, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word, to somebody else, we can beat ourselves up for months. However, when we do something that's, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. When we do something that is kind or something that is beneficial to somebody else, we don't pat ourselves on the back for months. We might go, wow, that felt good. And we take a second maybe to acknowledge ourselves. But I need you to get into the habit of actually putting your hand on your back and going, geez, well done. And thinking about that great stuff that you actually do on a daily basis. We do it without even thinking. Lorato, have you got a question for us?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think my device unmuted by mistake. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, damn. I thought you had a question for me.
I'm so sorry.
Okay. All right. So an interesting little comment here from Ola. Hi, Ola. Nice to have you. I found I need a coach for every goal I commit to. So he or she can hold me accountable. Ola, I love that. And yes, so good to see you. I don't know if anybody else works on Trello, and it's a task management program that I can invite people to. And interesting that you should mention that is so when somebody gives me a task, what I do is I invite them into it, and then what I do is I create a task for them to kick my butt. So, so that we're actually interacting in this platform where the person's like sending me a WhatsApp going, you know what, you've got 10 more minutes to get this task done. And if you haven't started now, you're not going to achieve it, and you better change your goal and that kind of thing. So yes, tell me a little bit more about you having somebody who you're accountable to.
I mean, I think it started like 2 years ago. Like, you know, it's like how you were saying earlier on in the presentation that on New Year's Day, everybody like writes those things down. And I've been writing those things down. I know it's not that I don't want to achieve it, but like I'll get to like March and the momentum is gone. And it's just like, oh, you know, I'm just going to snooze this alarm. Like I don't really have to, you know. And so I decided to give it a try about 2 years ago because I just kept on, so it would be the same, let's say 2020 was done, and then I'll find myself 2021. It's like all this stuff I told myself I was going to do. I'm not even like 1% there. And I was like, you know what, it's not gonna hurt. Let me just work with a coach. And that was like the best decision I ever made. So now I don't even, it's funny you should mention the gym earlier on. I started the gym and the first thing they were asking me, do you want a personal trainer? I'm like, yes, because I'm committing to this weight and I'm committed to do everything. And last week I didn't feel like going, and she called me and she's like, yeah, like, so if you don't come, just know you did this. And because I don't like to be that person, I'm just like, no. You said you're going to get me there, so you better do. So I just, I think it's really important that just having someone else other than yourself, like holding you accountable. I think it really, really helps, at least for me anyway. Yeah.
Absolutely. The asking for support and getting other people involved in what you want to achieve is huge. Especially breaking I mean, if you're an addict, you go to a counselor, you go to AA meetings. That's them holding you accountable, you know, if you're wanting to break those particular habits. But there isn't really somebody that's there to kind of go, you know what, you're forgetting to do the good stuff. So I love the fact that you're on the same page as me. I tell everybody what I'm doing, okay? So that when they ask me, and I haven't done it, I feel really bad. And I go,
Me
well, So yeah, I'm a big one for announcing this is my resolution and this is the habit that I'm going to be forming. Because yeah, you kind of have that people look at you like, really, I thought you were the one person that could actually achieve all of this. And you teach the stuff, and I'm very often people go, but you teach the stuff, and I go, yes, those that teach don't do.
But you're also human, so I think also it's just important to also know that, like, even though you say to yourself, I'm going to do, like, I've been trying to meditate like for the past 1 year, like consistently, and yes, there are days that I'm really trying, and it's just not working. It's like, oh, you know what? This is not working. But like, at least you're doing it.
Yeah, the thing is, even if you go, hold on a second, I'm going to actually do it once a week. Okay, I'm going to do it for 5 minutes.
That's when your mind goes like that.
Absolutely. And that's what we do is we go, okay, I'm going to create a habit of meditating. And then we believe we've got to do it every single day and we've got to do it for 30 minutes. That's overwhelming. Whereas if I go, I'm going to meditate today and I'm only going to meditate for 5 minutes, that doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow I'm going to meditate today and I'm going to meditate for 6 minutes. 5 minutes was a breeze yesterday. So tomorrow's going to be, 6 minutes is great.
Yeah.
And then when you get to a point where it's uncomfortable, so suddenly you get to your 20 minutes or your 25 minutes and it starts to feel uncomfortable, then go back, move yourself back to the 15 minutes. Find the one that's comfortable for you. There's no rules as to how long a meditation should be. And I think what we tend to do is we tend to go to the societal norms and go, you know what, this is what we should be doing. Instead of going, you know what, this is what I'm going to be doing. And it doesn't matter what the rest of the world does. But I want to feel good. I want to change it. Precious, have you got a comment for me? No, just the mic off. Okay. All right. So we get back to that coaching kind of scenario where you are held accountable. So how do we hold ourselves accountable? So I like to track things that I do. And I have had the privilege of working with various habit trackers. And I'm going to just show you, I'll share my screen again. That slide, okay. 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 So habit tracking. All right, I like to draw little pictures and make little blocks, and I think a lot of my buying into something that I do is the effort that I take to create it. So when I make an effort to create something, then I'm more likely to use that tool. So a habit tracker would work like this. You would create 5 or 6 different sayings in terms of whether you've achieved it or not. So my first one is always nailed it, a great effort, You know, it's good, it's okay. And then also, oops, I could do better. Okay, I'm not beating myself up because I haven't done it. So I create little words and phrases that sit well with me so that I can put them into my habit tracker. Now, I'm not, you might be one of these people that have pens and pencils. I do. I have pens and pencils and cookies, and I'm a stationery freak. Okay. However, I do everything on my computer. It's the most amazing thing. Is that I have all these colored pencils and cookies and every single color that I could possibly think. So some of the habits I do print out and then I color in. But what I generally do is I work on Excel. Okay. And what I would do is I would create a habit tracker like this. But before I go back into Excel, I'm just actually going to go into my last slide, because these are habits that you should be working on based on the last 4 weeks of sitting with me in this classroom. All right. So the first habit that I want you to just work on is eliminating assumptions. The second habit, listen twice as much as you talk. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Fourth habit, speak with kindness. And the fourth habit is awareness of your body language. So I create a little good habit tracker over here on my computer. I created my columns. I'm sure you guys that have attended some of these trainings on Excel and that kind of thing. This literally took me 10 minutes to create. And I love pictures and slides. So I'm going to just show you what it would look like. That's not cool. Give me 1 second. I'm going to show you what it would look like if I was going to print it out and stick it up on my fridge. So it doesn't have all those lines and stuff like that. So I'm going to eliminate assumptions. I'm going to listen twice as much as I talk. I'm going to speak with kindness, and I'm going to be aware of body language. So my thing is to work on Excel. And I started, so we're on the 2nd of the month, all right? And I'm just going to work with speak with kindness. So on Monday the 1st, I nailed it. Everybody I spoke to with kindness. I showed empathy.
Tracy, sorry. I think that the slide that we still see is the habits you should work on. Are you showing another slide?
Yes.
And what happened to being in the present, Trace?
Beg your pardon?
What happened to be in the present? Mindfulness. Be in the present, another one.
Yes.
You've been speaking about it every time almost.
Yes, what I've done is I've particularly taken, sorry, am I not sharing anything?
Yeah, now nothing is shared. You wanted to share something else. I think you're talking to something else, right? To the.
Okay.
Yes.
Am I sharing?
You can see that now. Yes.
Okay. All right. So, for somebody who teaches IT, I'm not very good on the Zoom. I'm really much better one-on-one with people. So I would create a sheet like this on my Excel. And I would go, okay, so these are the 4 particular habits that I want to particularly work on. And this is for November. Okay. So I've done Monday to Friday, Monday to Sunday, and the 1st to the 30th. And I would obviously have different colored Koki pens if I'm going to print it out. I like to put pictures all over the place. I like to make it look nice. I like to use different fonts. And I get more excited the more exciting my tool is that I'm working with. Okay, so here are my 4 habits. Eliminate assumptions, listen twice as much as you talk, speak with kindness, and be aware of body language. And as Ariela very much pointed out, be in the moment should be one of those big trackers, you know, one of those really big ones that you have on your fridge, or every moment that you have a look at. So I'm going to stop sharing that for a second and just share with you how I would work with it in Excel. If I didn't close my program, give me 1 second. I got such a fright when Ariella spoke to me that I just closed my whole screen.
Sorry.
No, not at all. There we go. Okay, can you see that on Excel?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I've created this in Excel, and what I can do is at the beginning of each day or at the end of each day is I can go, okay, so it's Monday the 1st of November. How did I do with eliminating assumptions? I absolutely nailed it on Monday the 1st. So I'm going to go to my little filler tool, and I'm going to go and fill it with nailed it. Okay. And then on Tuesday, I wasn't too bad. I need to now rate myself. So I need to say, yeah, okay. I was pretty good with not assuming too much. So I would go with good. Okay. But now we're aware that on Tuesday, I didn't nail it. So on Wednesday, I'm probably going to put a little bit more effort into it. So on Wednesday, I'm going to nail it. All right. Thursday, I wake up in a completely bad mood, and everybody's getting on my nerves, and everybody wants a piece of me, and I just am not in the moment, and my day goes absolutely pear-shaped, and I don't do any of it. So instead of beating myself up, I put there, oops, I could do better. So that I know that when I go into Friday, that I really need to spend more time with working on that particular habit. Okay, so every day I've got the awareness of working on that habit. However, it depends on how well you do with it, and score yourself. I work with a lot of learners, and I get them to do presentations to me, and I get them to score themselves before I score them. And I notice how particularly they score themselves really low. And the question I will then ask them is, why did you not score yourself 10 out of 10? And they'll say that they never put the effort in. They didn't put as much effort in as they should have. And if you are not scoring yourself 10 out of 10 on a daily basis on things that you want to achieve, then you need to have a look at the effort that you're actually putting into it. How important is it for you to change that habit? How important is it for you to create that habit? And if it's not working for you, drop it, guys. Don't beat yourself up because you're not doing it. Then that is not for you. Choose something else. Okay. Gym is not for me. I'm going to choose something else. All right. Maybe aqua aerobics, which I'm starting tonight, might be the way to go. So yes, I did start last month and then went once. So this month I'm going to, really do my best to get there twice a week. Once again, I'm not making it overwhelming. It's twice a week that I need to get into my costume and get into the swimming pool. I love being in the pool, and that's why I've chosen aqua aerobics. So yeah, my habit for November, December, and January, and because it's only twice a week, is going to be getting to aqua aerobics twice a week. That's it. I'm not making it any more complicated than that. Okay, so I've come to the end of my presentation, and I've given you a whole 12 minutes to